YouTube. And if you're in iTunes, please leave a rating and a review. It will help us out tremendously. And of course, visit us on thesportscast.net, thesportscast.net for the latest and greatest. You can listen to us on live radio on the Sportscast app. You can download the Sportscast app on the iOS App Store. And of course, visit us on the sportscast.net for the latest and greatest. Couple of news this morning. Of course, the Ravens just re-signed a player. And follow us on Twitter at the Sportscast1, the Sportscast1. A lot going on with late breaking news. Our Twitter is your best bet for the latest when it comes to sports. NFL Week 8 is this weekend, and so far, no scheduling changes, few signings, but a few teams have to turn things around to make the playoffs. And today we got a special guest, Jordan de Lugo from Generation Jag in Jacksonville, and he's here to preview Week 8. Jordan, welcome to the Sportscast.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me on.
Jordan, what a week. Of course, the biggest news was Gardner Minshew. They found multiple fractures in his right thumb. X-ray revealed, strained ligament. What have you heard lately with this situation, and what could happen? Will there be a starter change and things like that?
Well, really, there was no news on this front until yesterday, or maybe it was Wednesday. It's a bye week here in Jacksonville, so all the days are running together. But, yeah, nobody knew about this until this week when Schefter tweeted out about the x-rays coming back and all that. It does make some sense, as he has been sailing some balls. He's been dealing with some inaccuracy delivering the ball down the field over the last 3 weeks. And apparently it occurred October 11th when the Jaguars were taking on the Texans. So ever since then, he really has been a little bit off. Of course, he wasn't perfect before that. But, yeah, we don't know how long he'll be out or if he will be out at all. The Jaguars don't play until next Sunday, not this upcoming Sunday. They'll take on the Texans, assuming the Texans are good on the COVID front next Sunday. But, yeah, it's unclear if Minshew will miss that game or if he'll miss time beyond that. If he does miss time, you'd be looking at either Mike Glennon or the rookie out of Oregon State, Jake Luton, taking the reins there at quarterback for the Jaguars.
Let's look at the Jaguars season. They're 1-6. Do you think it's a lost season, or do you think you're able to see them turn around a bit? What are your thoughts?
Oh, it's certainly a lost season in my mind. Could they improve over the next several games, months, etc.? From a team standpoint, yes, they could. But when you look at their schedule ahead, it is daunting. I mean, they take on the Texans next, which the Texans are also struggling to win games, but the Texans have the Jaguars' number, and they've just been owning the Jaguars as of late. And then you look down the stretch, you've got the Packers, the Ravens, the Steelers, the Bears, the Colts, the Titans, and the Vikings, who obviously are having struggles of their own as well. But all those teams are going to be favored to beat the Jaguars. So even if the team does improve and plays more competitive football, I don't see how they win those games.
Something to definitely look at. Minshew, of course, with a fragmented thumb, could be. When do you think he'll return? Like, what have you heard?
I honestly have no idea. The Jaguars aren't really doing any media stuff this week just because they're on their bye week. So we probably won't get any info on this unless they end up placing him on injured reserve until Monday or Wednesday of next week. We probably won't know anything further. And I'm not a doctor, so I couldn't tell you like a timetable for recovery or anything like that.
Yeah, me either. So we'll see how things go with the Jaguars. You mentioned two quarterbacks. One is a rookie, right? You were saying?
Yes, Luton
And
from Oregon State, 6th-round pick.
And then, of course, you got Mike Glennon. Which of the two do you really want to see? Obviously, there's two perspectives: the winning, or let's just check out this guy, how he works. He could be the future of like the Jaguars.
Right. I don't want to see either of them, honestly. It's just a terrible situation for the Jaguars. But if it's on me to make that decision, if Gardner Minshew is missing time, I think you got to look at Luton. He looked better in training camp than Glennon did, from what I saw and from what I've heard from close practices. I don't know how that situation has gone on since the start of the season, but in training camp, he certainly looked to have more upside. And Glennon is just a guy, at this point. He's not going to come in and change things. He's not going to come in and play better football than Gardner Minshew. He's kind of a statue back there. I'd rather see Luton. You're at least seeing what you've got in a guy versus just retreading a career backup, essentially.
Yeah, that's something that the Jaguars are in an interesting position. I do agree with you. Mike Glennon feels like, I mean, I don't think he wants to be a Tom Brady. He doesn't want to be a starting position. I think he wants to be the backup. So we'll definitely be looking at what's going to happen with the Jaguars, a team that's promising. Um, do you see a Jaguar team try to tank and hopefully get a good draft position for another quarterback? I mean, what have you heard?
They're absolutely not trying to tank, but at this point, they do not need to try to tank in order to tank. They're that bad. And they're that unfortunate with injuries and other such things going on. They're the youngest team in football. Doug Marrone, before the season, came out and said how excited he was about these guys, about this roster. And quite frankly, it just hasn't come to fruition. The young guys have not stepped up enough in enough spots for the Jaguars to be competitive most weeks, to be quite honest. And the offense has been disappointing. The Gardner Minshew to DJ Chark connection hasn't been as good as you would have expected it to be. So, yeah, I think the Jaguars are tanking without trying to tank, if that makes any sense. Because I don't think Doug Marrone could enter this season and be like, well, let's tank and just get a great draft pick next year, because his job is far from guaranteed.
Tell us about your wide receiver core. I mean, I listen to a lot of podcasts concerning these certain players, these wide receivers. Tell us about Westbrook. How's he doing for the Jaguars?
So Dede Westbrook is actually now on IR. He suffered an injury last week on a kick return. Not good for him, obviously. But before that, he had really been inactive for several games and just was not working his way into the lineup very much. Um, but you look at DJ Chark, he's an elite all pro, or maybe not all pro, but at least Pro Bowl. He did make the Pro Bowl last year. Pro Bowl caliber talent. He's got, ridiculous wingspan, athleticism, speed, great ball skills. So he's the type of guy that you can build around. And then LaVisca Chenault, the rookie second round pick, he has been just a Swiss Army knife for the Jaguars offense so far this year. He's gotten a ton of catches. He's gotten run out of the backfield. Very physical receiver, very difficult to bring down in the open field. And he's also got great hands, has made a lot of tough catches in traffic. So you look at those two guys you're building around. You've got Keelan Cole as well, who he's come into his own this year. He in 2018 he got an opportunity when Marquise Lee got injured to come out and kind of take over the number one receiver role. Kind of fell flat on his face. I think it was a little bit too much too early for him in his young career. And then 2019 he was relegated to more of a role player. And then he showed out well in 2019 in the role that he had. And then this year he's kind of the Jaguars' third option as a receiver, and he has been fantastic, to be quite honest.
Yeah, it feels like Jaguars is a little bit more offensive focus, a little bit more than before, like years prior, which was a little bit more defensive. But we'll see. Maybe we'll see some glory days soon in the Jaguar country. The AFC South, Jordan, it looks like Tennessee is controlling that really well. And then you got the Colts and the Texans. How do you see this division? And do you think the Jaguars can finish at least third above the Texans?
No, I don't think they can finish third above the Texans. I don't think they're going to. I'm not going to predict them to win another game because, like I said, the road ahead is just so difficult. The only games that where you could potentially uh, prior to the game pick the Jaguars to win would be against Houston or Minnesota. But Houston, like I said, owns the Jaguars in recent years. And Minnesota, I think, is a much more complete team despite their struggles as well. So I don't think the Jaguars can get out of the cellar in the AFC South this year. I do think the Titans are running away with the division. I think they're the best complete team right now. Mike Vrabel has shown that he's a very good coach, a very smart coach, very good at game management. Um, the Colts are a decent team too. They've got an excellent defense. They've got a very good offensive line and running game. And when Phillip Rivers is playing smart football and not just kind of tossing it around willy nilly, they're also a very good squad. The Texans, they're not going to win a lot of games the rest of the year either, of course, but they should be able to beat Jacksonville in Week 9.
With the Titans, number one in the division, they had a loss against the Steelers this past weekend. Is this a red flag for the Titans because now the Steelers figured how to slow down Derrick Henry?
I don't think it's a red flag. I think the Steelers are playing very, very good football right now, and they should be right now the favorites to win their division. Obviously, they take on the Ravens this week, and I don't
Which we'll
think it's a
predict
red
soon
flag
about.
for. Yeah, I don't think it's a red flag for the Titans. I do think they would have liked to win that game, obviously, but the Steelers are playing excellent football on both sides right now. So I think the Titans are fine. They'll get back at it.
6-0 Steelers looking good. And of course, Titans play Ravens. And now it's time for the show to predict NFL Week 8. Jordan, are you ready?
I am ready. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it. First game for Week 8, or like the most important game, Ravens Steelers at Baltimore. Jordan, what's going to happen?
So are we doing the spread or just straight up pick 'em?
Straight up pick them, and if you want, you could put a score if you want.
Okay. So what do we got here? Steelers at Ravens.
Steelers at Ravens, yep.
Steelers undefeated. Ravens have one loss to the Chiefs, of course. I'll take the Ravens are favored. I'll take the Ravens to win this one. I think they'll be able to play physical football, maybe slow down the Steelers' offense a little bit, and maybe get the run game going against the Steelers. The Ravens are at home for this one. So I'll take the Ravens, let's say 21-17.
21-17. Oh, you put the score down. You like that. Des Bryant got signed with the practice squad this week, Jordan. Do you think he'll be elevated to the bench, or what are your thoughts about that?
He hasn't played in so long. It just seems like it'd be tough for him to get up that quickly. But anything's possible. I don't think he'll play this week, but I think he will play soon.
Interesting case. Of course, Antonio Brown. We'll get to the Buccaneers a little bit later. Patriots visit the Bills. Cam Newton said in the press conference yesterday, it is a must win. No matter what, it is a must win. They're 2-6, Jordan. I would never have thought this will happen this soon, but it was very possible. And the Bills kind of not struggled against the Jets, but they definitely beat them in a small margin for some reason. Do you think this is the Patriots win, or do you think they're going to continue their slump?
In Buffalo, the Bills are clearly the better team right now. They're playing good football with Josh Allen, kind of slinging it around to Stephon Diggs, who they got in the offseason, and the rest of those receivers out there. And they've got a decent running game as well with Singletary and Moss. It was a bit of a struggle last week, but I'm going to go with the Bills in this one. The Patriots, Bill Belichick is apparently open to trading just about anyone at this point, which is clearly a sign that he is ready to rebuild for next year. So I'm going to go with the Bills, and I don't think it'll be particularly close, honestly.
Jordan said it. I didn't say it. Bengals, Titans visit Cincinnati. Of course, Titans, it feels like they have to win this one to stay up top. Bengals, Joe Burrow, great for fantasy, throwing a lot of yards. Jordan, would this be an upset or the Titans will bounce back?
I think the Titans will take care of business in Cincinnati. They're a much more complete football team. I don't think the Bengals will have any answer for Derrick Henry. or AJ Brown, to be quite frank. AJ Brown's very difficult to stop. I don't think they'll be able to stop either of those guys. I think the Bengals will score some, but the Titans do have a defense that can be opportunistic. I think you'll see Burrow maybe with a couple turnovers in this one. I'll take the Titans.
Some people were asking me, who would you compare Henry to from the past?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean,
It's
it's
hard.
difficult because it's hard to think about a guy that runs so violently, but also just is very difficult to catch in the open field. Um, Maybe a little bit of a former Houston Oiler, the same franchise, Earl Campbell, maybe a little bit.
Good
Uh,
one. I like it.
I don't think there's a direct comparison for Derrick Henry. I think he's
He's
a
a different
unique.
specimen.
Yeah.
Different specimen. So we'll see how this whole Titans team with Ryan Tannehill, can you believe it? Doing really well. You
Yeah,
know,
I know that's got to be kind of interesting for you down in South Florida seeing Tannehill flourish. But, he's surrounded with great talent, with great coaching, and a scheme that just really fits what he is good at. And he really just didn't have that when he was in Miami very often.
yeah, it's quite interesting the whole pattern. But hey, there's redemption outside of Miami. Raiders visit the Browns, Jordan. It's a minus OBJ, but they're still loaded.
Yeah, this is a really interesting one because it's in Cleveland, so obviously that gives the Browns a little bit of an advantage. The Raiders are playing good football though. No OBJ. They do have other talented receivers, obviously. So Rashard Higgins will be in the starting lineup for OBJ, it looks like. I'm going to take the Browns because it's a 1 o'clock kickoff. The Raiders are traveling from out west. It's just difficult to win on the eastern seaboard there for a West Coast team, especially with a 1 o'clock kick. So I'm going to take the Browns, but I really could go either way with this one.
Is Baker Mayfield convincing you that he is the man there?
He's looking good. I mean, I think last year was very difficult for him, obviously, and he still has some struggles. But does he look like he can be their quarterback for the next 5 to 10 years? Right now, it looks like you want to say yes, but I think the story still is yet to be written for Baker Mayfield, and I wouldn't really commit either way at this point about his long-term potential.
Unless he makes the playoffs this year.
I mean, if he makes the playoffs, yeah, that would be very impressive. But one playoff run does not make a franchise quarterback.
Interesting with the whole size situation. Colts visit Detroit. The Lions tight end Hawkinson, had a great game last week. Big matchup, wild card implications. Detroit won last week, but it was against the Falcons. The Colts are rested because they're coming off a bye. What's going to happen, Jordan?
I think the Colts are going to take care of business. It looks like they're only favored by 2.5, but I would take them by a lot more than that in this one. The Lions, like you said, their lone wins, I believe, are against the Jaguars and the Falcons. Not exactly murderer's row there. So I don't think, even though it's at home, that the Lions have much of a shot in this one. The Colts have an excellent defense. They have an offense that can get going with their ground game, and the Lions don't have a great run defense. So I think you'll see the Colts run away with this one.
This next game, people thought would have been great, but not really this year. Minnesota at Green Bay. Green Bay's having a fantastic year, and Minnesota is in a desperate win. But hey, Packers is quite superior, especially in Green Bay. It's probably cold by now. Jordan, who you got at Lambeau Field?
Yeah, you never know with these interdivisional matchups. Vikings and Packers, great rivalry. The Packers are obviously a superior team this year, but they do have a weakness against defending the run, which it looks like Dalvin Cook has a good shot to suit up for the Vikings this week. So,
Yes, he tweeted something interesting this week. It was kind of like indicating he's going to play. But
yeah, if Cook plays, you could see this be a little bit more difficult for the Packers. I'll go ahead and call this my upset of the week. I'm not feeling super bullish about it, but when you look at what the Vikings can do with Dalvin Cook, they can run the football. And um, I think that could give the Packers defense trouble because the Packers are obviously much better against the pass than they are against the run. So I'll take the Vikings in this one. Not super confident about it, but I'll go ahead and do it.
Jordan, like we pretty much had to have a sexy pick this week, so I think the Vikings would be very justifiable to do that. So I hope you're right because the Packers are pretty nonstop. Um, Chiefs, Jets visit the Chiefs. Wow. Adam Gase is not doing the play calling last week, and he probably won't do so this weekend. And it kind of made a difference. Made like the Bills game a little tighter, maybe. Chiefs are unstoppable. They just beat the Broncos in Denver. They got Le'Veon Bell, this could be his revenge game. Is there anything special with this game?
I think the more interesting question is not who will win this game, but what will happen with the spread. And yeah, what will happen with Le'Veon Bell? Chiefs are favored by almost 20 points. Um, Le'Veon Bell will take on his former team, like we've mentioned. That's going to be really interesting. Will they give him more carries just so he can get going against the Jets, even though they have Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Will be fascinating to see, certainly. But yeah, the Chiefs are going to roll in this one. I think it could be a really boring game where the Chiefs just get up early and then they kind of just pound the rock the rest of the way. We'll see how that goes. But I'll take them to cover and win by 20 plus points.
Now, are the Jets tanking or are they just really that bad?
They're that bad.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, they're terrible.
Two a
Adam Gase
time.
is the worst coach, in my opinion, in the NFL.
I agree. I experienced
By
him
a
for a
long
few
shot.
years. Yeah, I mean, he should be a quarterback coach or an offensive coordinator, but a head coach is just not his job type. He should change it on LinkedIn a little bit. Let's go Tua time. Tua starts for the first time, but this time against the LA Rams. It's in Miami. They're going. Tua will be going against Aaron Donald. Everyone's saying Aaron Donald versus Tua. What's gonna happen? This is gonna be interesting.
It is interesting, obviously. I mean, you've got the Rams defense who's been playing pretty well. They've obviously got a ton of offensive firepower with their receiving game with Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp and the rest of those guys out there. And they can also run the ball. It is in Miami. It's at 1 p.m., so that's tough for the Rams to get out traveling from the West Coast to the East Coast. The Rams are favored. What a way to welcome Tua to the NFL by taking on Aaron Donald and that defensive front and Jalen Ramsey on the outside. It's going to be really interesting. I'll be fascinated to see how Tua fares because I do like Tua. Was very high on him coming out of the draft. This is a tough one. I'll take the Dolphins at home.
Hey, I'll take it. I think it's a good first win. I would have the thing is like the Dolphins had the Rams, they had the Cardinals, the Chargers, the Broncos, and then like the Jets at the end of the month. I would have had have him start playing against the Jets, but maybe the front office said, "Hey, it's time. Let's do it." Miami wins upset. I think Miami's going to win that one. The humidity is way. The heat's way different than LA, so I for sure we'll pick Miami on that.
Is it
one.
going to be hot in Miami on Sunday?
It should be. It's hot this morning. When I went for a jog, man, the humidity, like once you walk outside 5 minutes, you're like soaked. It's probably the same for Jacksonville.
Because in Jacksonville right now, we're actually experiencing a nice chilly morning, high of 73 today.
Dude, I want to have that weather.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice.
It sucks right now. Okay, let's go to a divisional game. Chargers at the Broncos. Justin Herbert is doing pretty well. He slings the ball really well. The Broncos, they got Drew Lock back. This could be a close one. What do you think, Jordan?
I'll take the Chargers. I think they're a more complete team right now. They do have their struggles, no doubt, and Justin Herbert isn't perfect. He does make a ton of plays. I just think that Herbert is a much better quarterback than Drew Lock, and you've seen The Broncos running back, not Melvin Gordon, their other running back, he's dealing with a concussion issue right now. Can't remember his name Philip Lindsay. Don't know why that wasn't coming to me. But yeah,
Yeah,
Philip,
which I think he didn't practice this week much.
right. So he might not play. They don't have their star receiver on the outside. So I'll take the
Very
Chargers in
good.
this one. I think they should be able to take care of business with their combination of Justin Herbert being able to throw the rock all over the yard, being able to run the ball, and they have their fair share of talented outside weapons and running backs. So I'll take the Chargers in this one.
If you were the Jaguars front office, would you have taken Tua or Herbert?
I was much higher on Tua than Herbert. Obviously, Herbert, I had him as a second round pick, honestly, which obviously I'm eating some crow on that.
You're way off.
Yeah, certainly. I just didn't know about his mental makeup, and he just didn't. I think, honestly, Oregon kind of did him a disservice with the type of offense they were running. But yeah, he's proven me wrong on that one. So would I have taken Tua or Herbert? At the time, I definitely would have taken Tua. It remains to be seen how he's going to perform in the NFL. I still think Tua is going to be a great quarterback, but we haven't seen it yet. We have seen a lot of good things from Herbert, but I'll still stick with Tua.
I do agree with you. Here at the Sportscast, we have like a rivalry, like Team Tua, Team Justin Herbert, and we might have a show in December to compare the two and contrast it. But yeah, Herbert has been talked about for a while, and I remember Steve Young was like, "Wow, I mean, both those quarterbacks are tough to pick." But yeah, we'll see. Only history can tell. So far, so good with the rookie quarterbacks. I hope the same for Tua Tagovailoa. The Drew Brees Saints going to the Bears. This Bears team I thought was not in good shape, but with Foles, they're sustaining. Who you got, Jordan?
This is tough, man. It's in Chicago. What's the weather going to be in Chicago
It
this
should be chilly.
weekend?
If it's chilly in Jacksonville, it should be chilly in Chicago. Let me see.
Yeah,
I'm
I
going to
need
Google
to
right
see
now.
the weather because
36 degrees right now.
Drew Brees tends to struggle in cold games outside. He's much better in a dome, but obviously the Saints are a much better team, in my opinion. Um, they are favored. I'll take the Saints to win, but the Bears to cover. How about
I,
that?
I don't think Michael Thomas is playing, Jordan. Have you taken that into consideration?
Yeah. Yeah, I have taken that into consideration, but they've got so many weapons. I
True.
think they're going to come out and probably try to run the ball quite a bit. It'll be tough. I will take the Saints, but I'm not super confident about this one, which is why I'll take the Bears on the spread.
Yeah. Oh, so you take the Bears. That's your final call. Or is it the Saints?
I'm taking the Saints to win, but the Bears on the spread.
Oh, I gotcha. A big divisional matchup. Niners and Seahawks. I thought the Niners were in trouble, but I think they kind of came back with the Patriots against the Patriots. I don't know if it's the Niners are back or they just had an easy game with the Patriots. But who do you got there? It is in Seattle. So
Yeah, it is in Seattle. Obviously, that helps. The 49ers are 2-0 in the division already. Seahawks have been kind of rolling this year, though, letting Russell Wilson really air it out to DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett and those guys. I'm going to take the Seahawks in this one. I don't know if the
I would
49ers
too.
have a solid defense, solid running game, obviously, but I just can't pick against the Seahawks at home with Russell Wilson slinging it like he is.
Man, Metcalf and Lockett, like when I was drafting for my fantasy team, I chose Lockett, but Metcalf it's turned out to be the better man.
They're both awesome, honestly,
Yeah,
man. I think you'd be happy to have either one.
true. I'm blessed. I'm grateful. Hopefully, how is your fantasy team doing?
I have two fantasy leagues where they are for money. So obviously, those are the ones I pay close attention to.
Good.
And the one is a 12-team league, which is my main league, big money league. It's doing well. I did have Dak Prescott, and
He's a
that
good
was amazing.
fantasy guy.
What'd you say?
Like he's pretty much a good a good player to to start.
Oh, he was
Good.
crushing it, but
Yeah.
he got that terrible, gruesome injury a couple weeks ago. So I've been kind of reeling at quarterback a little bit. But my team is 6-1, scoring a lot of points. I've got Julio, Travis Kelsey, James Robinson. I've got all the good rookie running backs, really. I got James Robinson, Antonio Gibson, Jonathan Taylor, and DeAndre Swift, who's come on lately as well. So team's doing well despite losing Dak Prescott. Hopefully he can get a full recovery and make some money next year.
And perfect segue to the next game. I didn't do this on purpose. Cowboys at the Eagles, one of the weakest divisions. Cowboys, they might say he's like one of the worst teams in the league right now. Jerry Jones says that Mike McCarthy is my man. That's what he said this week. So, who do you have for this matchup?
Pretty unbelievable, just how much the loss of Dak Prescott has impacted this team. But they were struggling on defense before that. I mean, their defense has been horrendous. Their offense was really humming with Prescott at the helm. But now with Dalton, he's not playing very well. And you're seeing this offense kind of fall apart as well. And you're seeing the players come out and call out the coaches saying there's no leadership. I'm going to take the Eagles. I don't think this should be a particularly close game.
It's quite interesting with the whole Mike McCarthy. What are your thoughts of him right now? Do you think he's just not the man in Dallas?
I don't have enough information about this situation to make any crazy insights or anything like that. But if you've got players coming out and speaking out against the coach, that is a bad, bad sign. Mike McCarthy, he kind of got ran out of Green Bay, and there's been some very just unfortunate information that has been released from the end of his time at Green Bay, where he's like busy spending time getting massaged instead of working on
Wow. I didn't know that part.
game planning and stuff. Yeah, it's an ESPN article that came out a couple years ago after he was let go by the Packers. But I don't know. It seemed like what we saw from him, where he kind of like went into hiding and just was studying all the NFL teams, studying all the different patterns and nuances going on, that he was going to come in and kind of be like a rejuvenated man and be able to get the Cowboys going in the right direction. But it doesn't look like he's going to do that. And I would not be surprised if it's one and done for Mike McCarthy, especially the way the Cowboys are playing.
And keep in mind, the Cowboys only interviewed two coaches, Mike McCarthy and Marvin Lewis.
Yeah, pretty wild stuff there, honestly.
That is not good. Like,
They obviously wanted a coach with experience as an NFL head coach, but this might have been the wrong man for the job. If you look at Marvin Lewis, his track record of coaching good defenses, maybe that would have been a better option for the Cowboys, as their defense struggles mightily.
Yeah, quite interesting the situation. It's just so sad to see a waste of talent, going, just down the drain. It's just seeing Dak and seeing Zeke, and you've seen like these wide receivers. Like, this team could relive like the glory days back in like the middle 90s, early to mid 90s, and now it's just going down the drain. It's just so sad. But
especially because that division is there for the taking. I mean, it's such a weak division. If they could just get it together a little bit, they should be able to easily take it. But at this point, there's no way you can even predict them to beat the Eagles, who have been struggling in their own right.
something to definitely look at. Of course, that is our NFL Week 8 update. Of course, we'll be following along on the Sportscast this week, and hopefully we'll get things going again. Poll question of the day: who makes the best breadsticks? Pizza Hut, Caesar's Pizzas, Papa John's, or Domino's?
Am I supposed to weigh in on this one?
Yes, it's your vote right now.
I vote. All right. So we're talking just breadsticks, not cheese sticks.
Ooh, you could put that there. I didn't put any type of
That's tough
limitation.
because I'm much more of a cheese stick guy. Like, if there's cheese sticks or breadsticks, I'm ordering the cheese sticks. So I might not be able to speak on the breadstick game as well. So can I go for cheese sticks?
Go for cheese sticks. I mean, all of those guys probably sell cheese sticks, I imagine.
Yeah. So the Papa John's ones are really good. I don't even know. Did you say Papa John's?
Yeah, Papa John's is one of them.
I'm going to take Domino's, though. They have like cheesy bread that's just it's really good. If you haven't had it, definitely try it. I do prefer to, order local pizza joints, but when you're feeling lazy and you don't want to spend a lot of money, I don't mind getting one of the, fast food type pizzas. So, and I'm a huge pizza fan. But yeah, I would take Domino's cheesy bread. It is really cheesy and really doughy and delicious.
And you dip it with like tomato sauce, red sauce, or like ranch.
Yeah,
Like, do you have any
marinara
preference?
sauce. Marinara
Marinara
sauce. Yeah.
makes sense. How is the pizza joints in Jacksonville? Is it a good vast of options, or just or just a couple of
Yeah,
them?
there's a lot, honestly. There's a
Okay,
lot. And really, no matter where you are in town, there's a local pizza joint close to you that's serving up some pretty good pies.
I bet Dave Portnoy has been by Jacksonville yet. The guy from Barstool.
He has actually, and one of the
Interesting.
best pizza places in Jacksonville, Biggie's Pizza, they kind of got in a little feud with him because he gave them like a crappy review. But they have good pizza, man. They have a Buffalo Soldier, which is the buffalo chicken pizza that's fire. And then they got the Mama's Pie, which is like a classic deep dish with a lot of red sauce and a little bit of cheese. It's delicious. So yeah, shout out to Biggie's. I really enjoy them, and there's a lot of great pizza places here.
Which is interesting because I've heard when he gives bad reviews, it kind of stings a lot in like the Google reviews, and they have like a bad reputation. So Portnoy has a lot of power when it comes to pizza.
Yeah, they have been expanding though. I think they have like 3 locations or 4 locations now, so they're doing all right despite the bad press from Portnoy over there.
Yeah, give Jacksonville a shot, man. They're like the most underrated city here in Florida. Like seriously.
Yeah, it's a good time, man. We've got a lot going on. You got the beaches that are beautiful. You've got the Jaguars, obviously, which has been kind of a crap show lately, but
The
it's
town
still
center looks
it's still
great.
NFL football. Yeah, if you're looking for some corporate mall walking outside action, you got the town center, which the town center has been getting a lot more local places in there instead of just like the national corporate places. So, yeah, plenty of stuff to do in Jacksonville. You've got a lot of fun nightlife options as well when you look at Riverside, the beaches, Avondale, Murray Hill. Shout out to Murray Hill. That's where I live. But yeah,
Nice.
I love Jacksonville.
And yes, you
Happy
can
to see it
find
continue to grow.
uh Pollo Tropical there as well, I heard. So you get fancy
Absolutely.
food.
Yeah.
Anyways, Jordan de Lugo from Generation Jag, tell us the best way to reach you and your latest article.
So you can follow me, Jordan de Lugo, at Jordan de Lugo, all one word on Twitter. And then Generation Jaguar is also on Twitter at Generation Jag. Check out genjag.com, which is where all my content is. The latest article I published was just kind of a quick news thing about Gardner Minshew's uh, fractures and strained ligament in his throwing hand. But I think when you look at a legitimate article instead of just like a news blurb, I did cover the 4 bye week storylines for the Jaguars. Doug Marrone, he's talking about doing some crazy S word. I don't know if we're allowed to use the S word here on
Preferably
this
not,
show.
but we know
Yes,
what it means.
but you know what I'm talking about. So he had a really wild interview on Monday or press conference on Monday, which
Interesting.
was just,
Yeah, it's
I
bizarre.
highly recommend watching it. It's very interesting.
He's not all there, I bet. He's just not. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
That's
I don't
funny.
know what's going on. Obviously, he's grasping at straws at this point with such a team struggling so mightily. And then you've got the chase for the number 1 overall pick. The Jaguars are currently third, hold the 3rd overall pick in the draft behind the Giants and the Jets. So obviously, Jaguars fans would like to see
Trevor Lawrence.
the Jags fans would love to see the Jags end up with that number 1 pick. You've got the development of all the young players going on. Tons of rookies and 2nd year and 3rd year players playing right now. So just watching all of them has been interesting. And then a lot of Jaguars fans have also been asking, when will a coaching change happen? To me, it doesn't look like it'll happen until after the season, but I would expect a regime change if the current trend continues.
I think so too. I think Doug Marrone. I think he just ran out of ideas. To be honest.
Yeah, I do too.
Blake Bortles was with the Broncos. They released him and they re-signed him.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts about that?
I mean, I haven't been following. I've been following along, from a bird's eye view with what's going on with Blake, and I'm always happy to see him, you know, continue his career, whether it be as a backup or what have you. He's a fun guy, not a great quarterback, but he is a fun guy and a nice guy.
Great
And
locker room guy.
yeah, I haven't met anyone that had a bad thing to say about him. He's just a very chill Florida boy, but yeah, hopefully he can just continue to bounce around and find his way onto rosters.
You never know, Blake. Him and Calais Campbell used to hold down the locker room together,
That's right.
and hold hands and, hey, guys, we can do this. We can beat the Patriots and things like that. So the Jaguars, a story that is yet to be told, and hopefully we'll see some glory days and maybe they'll come right beneath the Miami Dolphins and see some powerhouses. And now Tampa's doing well out of nowhere overnight. Of course, a man named Tom Brady came along. So Florida sports is getting strong. The best way to reach us on the Sportscast is thesportscast.net or on Twitter at the Sportscast1. We'll be live tweeting the Penn State game tomorrow. Who do you got between Penn State and Michigan?
I thought they were playing Ohio State.
Oh, yes, Ohio State. I got it wrong.
Okay, yeah.
Go ahead, yeah.
I'll take Ohio State. I'm excited to see Justin Fields play. He's obviously one of the bigger quarterback prospects coming out here recently behind Trevor Lawrence. So I'm excited to see Justin Fields. The Jaguars, they could be in line for a Justin Fields pick. If they're not able to get that number one pick, they could be, in the Justin Fields market. So it'll be interesting to see how he plays. He played well last week. He played well against Penn State last year. I think Ohio State will win that one.
And, of course, Florida, Missouri. Who do you have in that matchup?
Got to take the Gators, right? Their offense is fantastic, and their defense is much more talented than they have played lately. They did fire their defensive coordinator. They haven't played in 2 weeks. I think they'll be able to figure some things out on defense. And the Kyle to Kyle connection, Kyle Trask to Kyle Pitts, has just been downright unstoppable so far this year.
Can't be coincidence, right?
Right. Yep.
Missouri Tigers, an interesting team. They've had some history in college football. They've been to the SEC championship game before. But the Gators are 2-1. The COVID thing is all settled, right? They figured that one out.
As far as I know, they're on track to play. So yeah, that was obviously a huge debacle, caused them to reschedule 2 games. So we'll see how that all plays out. But they're still on track to play tomorrow night at 7:30.
We'll see what Tim Tebow has to say tomorrow at college in one of the sports shows. I'm not sure if he's still in College Game Day. I think
I don't know what show he's on these days, honestly.
Yeah,
but he's doing well for himself, that's for sure.
All I can tell you, he's on his Instagram with his new wife and doing some some weird stuff. But
I have not seen that.
Yeah, he's always doing some dancing or some type of yoga stretches. I don't know. Anyways, he's having a great time right now.
Tebow can do whatever he wants, I guess, at this
Tebow's
point.
the man. It's funny because there was one year he made some weird predictions and he was right. It's like, oh, wow. Maybe he should be a betting man.
Prophetic.
Jordan, you're always welcome to the Sportscast. Hope to see you again. You're a man of full wealth of knowledge. And, of course, I hope to see the Jaguars do well soon again.
Yeah, hopefully. We'll see how that goes. It's been a rough 2 decades here in Jacksonville when it comes to winning football.
Anyways, we're here in the Sportscast winning, of course. Guys, have a great weekend, and let's go Dolphins 2 a time.